Okay, so let's start. This is the last I just wanna close today talking for a second about what it's political about what we do, what is political theater, and if training is something political or if something comes before political, what does it mean, this word? And is it something we should really take into consideration? Is it something important? There are political consequences of what we do, of the kind of idea of art, of man, of the role of the actor as an artist in this world. That's basically what I'd like to talk with you today about, and hear your opinions. And hopefully, if it's short, we can just open to some final questions from you guys, okay? But it's a very short time. So, why don't you start answering my question? What is political about what we do?
Just press in the holding.
Just hold it
Underneath.
No, hold it back. Yeah, just hold it in. Okay, yeah, it's coming. No? I fixed it. I managed, talking about craft. Can't deal with technology. First of all, thank you so much for what you said. I think it's almost like we feel like you provided the theory for what we are doing or trying in a lot of ways. So I think there was a lot to take in today, and also, which was very valid, I think, maybe for the participants, for what we've been trying to do this whole week and all that. So now it's about training and what's political about.
What's political about what we do, and also connected to training? If training is something that we can consider political or not, because are there consequences of training actors and, in a way, creating artists? So there must be some consequence, or it's completely like training is just something purely technical. You learn skills, you learn something, you become better, you become the potential artist you can be, and then you do something maybe it's political, but there's no political influence from the training. Do you understand?
Yeah, training is, of course, for us it's so much like in the process of how, and this process is never finished, and I think that's what I found as well, like in relation to this questioning. Of course, I think also what you said, like coming from this course, it's a foundation, and it's not that it's finished, it's an ongoing process, and I like that, and I think that's very political, that, in terms of there's never a final product, and even if there is kind of like parts in the process where you show something, that process is ongoing in terms of then how does it relate to an audience, and how do we deal with that, and what we learn from it for then carrying it further. That's what we constantly do with our art, and I think there is something extremely political about that, in terms of keeping that open and taking this relation serious, on all levels, with each other during the process, but also with the audience, and that they become a part of that then as well. And we meet in this space, and we engage with each other, and we question each other.
Is sharing a space already political?
Yeah, I think so.
In what sense?
In terms of that you have to negotiate of how you share that, and on which terms you come together.
That's what politics is about.
Could we call this somehow post-political, in a way that what was political 30 years ago? We use words, but we change the meaning of the words we use. So maybe what could have been political 30 years ago, we could say it was more ideological, because you could do a theater promoting an ideology or an idea, but it seems to me that political theater for many today is very much about this space and these questions and these relationships. Do you agree with this? But what do you think about this? I don't know.
Post-political as a term?
Yeah, or
I'm not so concerned about the terms we give to these things, and that's what I like about your approach as well, that it's about almost like trying to move away of these terms, which always try to fix something and make it into something, and kind of like already loses the idea.
But if you
of
think
that
about the
makes
audience, if you
itself.
think about what she says, promise and failure and audience expectation, if I have an idea that you are political and I come as an audience and we don't talk about what words mean, I will come maybe with the wrong expectation. Do you understand?
Well, I would assume that you were political too.
Can I hear?
You just said, as an audience, I come in assuming that you have a political agenda. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I'm saying that when we don't talk about the words, these words are out there anyway, and the consequence of these words is you can translate that consequence as expectations, you know, from the audience. Carmela, maybe I see you're nodding.
Just that expectations can't be wrong. Expectations are surfaces. That's where the rhythm thing comes in, because expectation is a rhythm that I bring to the space, and that's a place for us to meet. You know, and I think
So facing these expectations and the failure of these expectations, it's there where the gaps are and the courage is.
definitely. And I think if you bring up a politics in terms of acting, you know, you can talk about politics in terms of disciplines of like theories, like Marxism. You know, is the actor the laborer? Is he serving the industry? You know, does he produce something he can't own, that he can't afford to buy? Or is the actor creating something that describes his story or his experience of the world, for example? So politics is very broad, but it's about what politics? You want to speak to that?
Yeah, and I also think it's a lot about challenging these expectations, of course, you know, and I really like what you said about pushing the edge. You know, I think that's what we constantly try to do with our audiences, and that's what we try to do when we go out with the cameras into the public space. We're actually crossing a lot of borders, and we're breaking a lot of taboos. And actually, you know, in Super Nightshade, we call it the war on anonymity. We're trying to break through to a stranger, which is very difficult in the society we live in, and which is very kind of challenging. And actually, it's more or less about trying to take a stranger by the hand and see how much you kind of come together.
Yeah, but I'm just saying that it seems that the political connotation is more in the experience of the audience than in the message of the artist. Is it
It's more in the
something?
experience of the audience than the message of the artist.
Yeah.
What?
They need you to speak into the microphone.
I was trying.
Could
I'm
you use
trying
the
to
microphone?
You're saying things and I can't understand you because I'm trying to understand what you said. Literally just the words.
The words.
No, I understand that.
Yeah.
I don't need to say it.
Should I repeat it?
Oh, got you.
But I think that I think we're repeating ourselves here because it's the both. There's a meeting in between. From what
Okay.
you just said.
Great. I'm just curious to hear what you have to say. You know.
Yeah, and I really think it's basically, it's true. It's like moving away from a message that I have already as an artist prepared and I know exactly how to tell you. The message kind of constructs itself during this encounter.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Yeah, let's just take a round like this, and then we open to the questions.
I don't know how to get involved in this particular dialogue, honestly. It's I think that, you know, as soon as you open your mouth in public, it's political. I mean, for me, I'm interested in the good, the true, and the beautiful, and maybe that's political in this postmodern age. I don't know, and maybe it's just altogether too old-fashioned. But this is the place that I want to live and I want to speak out of, and maybe it will provoke something. But politics is, you know, it's based on the word polite, or polite is based on the word politics. And this is interesting to me. You know, it's just as soon as you open your mouth, it's political. So I don't know what else to say about it.
By us sitting here and them sitting there, it's political. Everything's political.
I'm just presenting you with this. I'm just addressing this problem, you know, because there is many discussion also about the relationship between training and aesthetics, and also what if an aesthetic is more political than another aesthetic. So if a training in his doing is somehow political, because somehow shape an artist, shape his idea of what's beautiful, what's not beautiful, and things like that. So if this is political or not, that's the question, basically, if you can understand. Yeah. I think you want to add something, Camilla?
Sorry.
Before Hans talks?
But it's just that there's this great philosopher called Michael Lerner. He's an American, Jewish-American philosopher who says that the religion of the people, the true religion of the people, is the one that is invisible. And in America, it's capitalism. It's the one everyone accepts, that it describes how they relate, it describes their values. That's the true religion of the people, whatever one they accept. So if we talk about things like, well, that's political, it's because it's something that goes against what everyone accepts is neutral. And so whatever is accepted as, well, that's not political, it's just dealing with, let's say, we could say reality, or we could say beauty, or whatever it might be. That's because that's what everyone's sort of invisibly internalized as the dominant experience of the world. But for those whose story's not on stage, that isn't beautiful. That's violent, for example. So I think that this principle that Leonard is offering is a really wonderful one, and I'd be curious to take your worldview into a questioning process, because it's a nice place to start. But then how can we search for the beautiful, the true, and the pleasurable inside a questioning process?
Okay. I think I'm the only one who's going to ask questions here. And I think that we have guests here, and you have this fantastic proposal that they should talk more than the ones who are going to be here in Norway afterwards. And this has been a political situation. We have met for 1 week, and it would be very interesting to hear what the different guests understood new from this seminar about others' works or their own work after this week.
That's very interesting, and we can do it, but can you say something about this? Can you try to say something about the political or not?
Well, I agree that it's so huge question that to say it in 3 words is getting ridiculous in a way. So this panel can't work out anything on that big issue. We can work out something on each other maybe, or we can say goodbye to each other in a way which is nice and polite and political in a way. So I don't know what to say to not be stupid to that question. I'm sorry.
Okay, but I think if I can get the microphone.
Also ich glaube, da sind wir uns doch alle einig.
I think that's the thing we all think. We think the
Das
same.
Theater sich damit beschäftigt, ich glaube, das tun wir alle.
I think we all
Ein Verhältnis zur Wirklichkeit herzustellen.
try to create a relationship to the reality.
Das heißt,
That's what we all do.
Wirklichkeit zu untersuchen.
So to examine reality.
Und Möglichkeiten von Abbildern der Wirklichkeit aufzuzeigen.
And we will try to show possibilities of images of reality.
Und das ist ein hochpolitischer Vorgang.
This is a very, very political action.
Also da komme ich wieder auf die Fragen zurück. Da ist dann das besonders Politische für mich ist daran, wie gelingt es mir immer wieder Fragen zu stellen, die diesen Vorgang provozieren.
So for him, he's coming back to the questions, what you were talking about. So the task is how to formulate always questions that are provoking. This provoking political. Was wir fragen?
Naja, die auf diese Wirklichkeit wieder
to provoke questions that are throwing us on the reality or dealing with the reality in a way.
Es gibt eine wunderbare Aussage, ich weiß nicht von wem sie ist, vielleicht sogar von David Mamet, der sagt, Disneyland ist nur erfunden worden, damit man den Rest von Amerika für Wirklichkeit hält.
So someone said that he likes this, he thinks maybe it was David Mamet, he's not sure, that Disneyland was only invented that people think that the United States are real.
Und das finde ich eine hochbrisante Aussage.
it's a really political.
Also damit kann ich mich beschäftigen, das ist was sehr Politisches.
You can deal with this. You can work on this.
Und nach diesen Provokationen und nach diesen Fragen suchen wir, glaube ich, alle sehr unterschiedlich, aber wir suchen alle.
And he says we all are looking for this questions, and this is political questions. That's what we all do in very different ways, but that's what we are all doing. Yeah.
Okay. If nobody has anything else to add, yeah?
Well, I don't know. I don't know how much it adds to the discussion. I just know my own point of view about art and the purpose of art and the purpose of artists. One thing they do is question a lot, you know, and they seek. I think that great artists are great teachers because they have, through their own sensibilities and understandings and talent, they're able to see the truth in things in a way that someone else can't, and make it so vivid, that it so imprints itself on you that you carry it, it becomes part of you, you know. And I think that my own point of view, I mean, when I look at something, read a book or hear a piece of music or go to a museum or go to a play or to a movie, I want it to teach me something about my own humanity and other people's humanity. And if it does that, it's good. If it doesn't do that to me, it's not good. Well, then what is the point of it? I think it's interesting also, I don't think this is really part of the discussion, I don't know. But you know, artists and politicians, they have a hard time getting along. And the first thing that the totalitarian people who get power, because they're driven to get power, is what makes them most nervous are artists. And you always find that they're always killing them off, you know. And sometimes great artists like Molière and Stanislavski, and, you know, they had to cope with these terrible totalitarian regimes. Akhmatova, we were talking about yesterday, because they are the antipathy of the artist, because the artist is too free. You know, they have too much freedom. They're too truthful. They tell the truth. They have to tell the truth. They can't not. And that's dangerous to people who are trying to get everybody to live in a certain way and do certain things, you know. So that's my, I don't know,
So when
where my wanderings took me as I was listening to the other discussion.
Okay, I just want to give some time to the questions.
One other thing I think in training, in terms of training, is that it's very important. Good training opens doors and windows inside of people and asks a lot of questions. I mean, a lot of my teaching has to do with being with the actors and asking endless questions. What about this? What about that? Why do you say this? Why do you do that? What does that mean? What does this mean? Taking the work where we're working with a text, and we ask a lot of questions about it as a path to understanding it, to finding our relationship to it. And I think that I'm very proud of the fact that it frees the human being. So somebody wants to paint a picture, but they want to, or do a play, but they don't want to do Uncle Vanya exactly the way it was written, because we've all seen that. They want to find some other way of looking at it that will give it new relevance, new understanding. And so, they deconstruct it and mix up the scenes and mix up the characters and all of that. Like Picasso, everybody's seen a human face, but what happens? You take the nose and put it where the ear is, you know? Now suddenly you have to look at that picture and look at people in a different way. Can't just take it for granted, that nose and that ear and all of that. So that's what, I'm finished.
Thank you. Okay, I think we should. Do you have anything to add?
No, just give you when you talk about political, I literally take political, for me, means the American experience in the term political theater, for example. I mean, I grew up in West Virginia where there were all these miners and strikers and union people. Then I came to New York, and then I I got involved with people who had been involved with plays, strike, that kind of thing, going out on the street, trying to create a commotion, a rebellion against the coal miners, against the corporations, and all of that business. That, to me, is a form of political theater. Clifford Odess was very involved in that kind of work. He wrote a play that was never produced, it had 52 characters in it, called Silent Partner. Never produced, never published. A fantastic play about unionization in America. That's the literal form of political theater in America. So that's what it means as it relates to my training and my understanding.
That's okay. Okay, I think we should give some space to the questions, and we can start from Hans' question as the first question. You said what they have learned from each other and stuff. So we can what they've experienced. So we can begin with that, if you agree. And maybe, Mikael, do you want to start? No? You didn't understand the question. So you can ask the question again yourself.
No, I just wanted to take it down to a sort of finishing thing.
Yeah.
That we are sitting here together the last time, and then maybe we could hear from the guests what kind of experience they have had from this week.
Yeah. Who wants to start saying something about this?
Leonard.
It's been very pleasant to be here. I really have enjoyed working with my students, and because they have been open to what I brought here and eager to investigate it. And it's been really a pleasure to listen to people speak and to see some work from Gob Squad, because I had never seen it before, and if you come to New York, I'll definitely come. Oh, when? I'll be there. And to speak with people, I mean, unfortunately, I can't speak so much with Mikhail because of the language difficulty. But I spoke with everybody here, and my understanding of things is I felt supported and not confronted or diminished. Or I think it's been great, in talking with you. Thank you for inviting me. It's been a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, I agree. You know, it's really been wonderful working with a mixed group of people in the workshop. One of the things I've been putting into practice in that experience is to be live with them and from day to day. Who are they? What can I bring? See how they respond. So I've learned a lot about myself in that process. And the generosity of those people and what they've been willing to trust in the space. But especially to be on such an esteemed panel of very experienced pedagogues and artists who I've just learned so much. I've been taking notes every single time, and from each one have so much respect. I really respect all of you for the material that you've brought to our discipline. So I feel like it's a great luxury, actually, to be able to have a debate like we just had about questioning, but it's because of the space of respect, I think, which is established through much of their dedication over these many years. And I've had the privilege to study with students who studied with their techniques back in New York, so it's kind of like for example, you know, Bill Espers is a legend. And to finally be able to meet you and to talk with you has been really a pleasure, so thank you.
Well, as sort of artists here, that I have sometimes found it a bit uncomfortable, to be honest with you, and found that I should be sitting there often, because these are all, you know, these are all artists too, and sometimes I've wanted to have the dialogue between a bit longer, and I feel there's so many conversations that we could have had that I would have found really interesting. I also find I think one of the things I found uncomfortable is almost our practice, being under such scrutiny, and sometimes that, and of course that's great. I've had a bit of a mind explosion, which is of course is really good, and hearing things that I didn't know, and hearing other people talking about their practices, I find, of course, like I'm sure everybody here, completely fascinating, and every time felt I'd like to have been in that workshop too. I would have loved to have done that and had a go at that, brought with it all that I don't know, and come away knowing something new. That would have been, I think everybody's felt would have loved to have a go at everything. But yeah, I think that it's really interesting being so viewed and being under such scrutiny. I've never had so many questions about our process. Constantly, you go out to the toilet and people go, can I just ask it? You think, let me think about that. I have to think about it. But one of the things that I am finding I'm struggling with a little, and I hope it doesn't sound too contentious, but I do sometimes feel, and I know it's in, the questions have often been in relation to, I think what was just being discussed then was blowing up in my head. Yeah, and it's, of course, it's always in relation to practice, it's in relation to acting. So I have to come to terms with that. But I don't know if, as a performer, I feel more intensely than other people. I really don't know that. And when I hear people saying, we are the conduit for the world, where I am like Christ, I bear I bear the problems of the world on my shoulders, and through it, the world speaks through me. That makes me crap myself. It's like, that is such a responsibility. And I don't believe that my friend, who is a brain surgeon, doesn't think as much as I do about the world, and things conduit through him, or a friend of mine who's unemployed on Heartsphere and actually wants to be a social worker. They feel as intensely as I do about the world, and that's an explosion that's happening in my head at the moment. Don't quite know how to deal with it, and I think it's such a responsibility to put on actors to say you are the conduit for the world, and everything will run through you, and what you spit out, and I think, oh God, that's hard. So there you go, but it's good. Hearing about it and thinking about it. Sorry.
Do you think that's what people have been saying? That that actors are the conduits of the world, and through us you feel?
Yeah,
The
someone
coach
said
said it
some-
after the film.
that was one of the things that was said after the
Coach.
Oh, because I don't feel that. What you said, what you just said, I think is completely true and valid.
Yeah.
Yes, the person unemployed feels as much as I do. We, as actors, we just learn how to harness these feelings and put them out in an artificial way, basically, to resemble something that looks like real life. But I don't think that we feel that we are the conduit of the world, of the world's feelings.
But sometimes it's been put, the artist is put somewhere up there, and I don't know if I'm comfortable with being up there.
Really, we talk about, I feel sometimes, there you go. Just thinking about it, I don't feel more important than a student nurse.
We are preaching to the choir, though.
Of course, I know, but there you go. And I say, of course, I understand, and I say it in relation. I know that everything has been put in relation to this context, and so, but that's a head explosion that's happening for me a bit.
Yeah, I really need to give some space to the questions. So, is there something you really want to ask before? Okay, that's a very clear message. Yes?
So I think what I hear, I'm talking for us. You said you tell me what I have to say for us. Yeah. So I think what we all are feeling, I think, is that it is so important to keep in a discussion about this, and this is really a big gift to be in such a discussion. And I think you all are discussing, because the main problem I feel as an artist sometimes is that the artists don't discuss as much. They just do their things and they think something about what they're doing and then they're leaving, but there's not enough discussion even in an institute, in an act, but so it's a big thing that you brought, Gianluca and the school brought us here to talk. So I hope you all continue discussing, because it's so important. And on the other hand, we feel like it's so difficult to do it in a theoretical way here, not really knowing what we all are doing. So this is also makes me feel as that theater is such a practical thing, or art is such a practical thing, and that's why I do it and why I love it. So this is a big challenge, that how to manage both, to discuss and to keep in a communication, but then also, how to share the practical work better. That's the challenge, I think. And then discuss about it really, and not just leave because you didn't like it or didn't, this happens all quite often too. Yeah. So, but it's a great gift for us to be here.
Ich habe die Observer sehr beneidet, weil die natürlich die Chance,
So he was really jealous on the observers.
Weil die Chance hatten, tatsächlich praktisch auch was zu sehen von dem, worüber wir hier oft theoretisch reden und was dann manchmal im Einzelnen nicht ganz so klar werden kann.
Yeah, because they had the chance to see all this, what we are talking about, but what we could not understand as clear as maybe the observers, because they witnessed all the classes.
Also mein Bedürfnis wäre, wenn man so etwas fortsetzen will, was ich unbedingt für sinnvoll halte.
So his wish is, if we could continue this, what he thinks is very important.
Wäre es vielleicht gut, über so eine Möglichkeit nachzudenken, dass wir uns gegenseitig tatsächlich praktisch zuschauen können.
Yeah, how could we observe each other in a practical way?
Weil
Or not even, maybe I would say, not only observe, maybe also be
ich
part of
bin
it.
jetzt so neugierig geworden, dass mir Reden überhaupt nicht mehr hilft.
So he's so curious now that talking is not helping anymore.
Okay.
The next conference.
Bill, do you want to say something about it?
Well, I do kind of agree with what Harry and Michael are saying. That would be a nice thing. We do work in a lot of isolation, Part of that is, some artists make a lot of what they do. It's very personal. I mean, if you're going to write a poem, you can't really concern yourself with what somebody else is going to think of it. You write a poem that pleases you, and you hope somebody else might like it, but what are you going to do if they don't? That's it. When I work with actors, I have a certain idea of what the kind of actors that I like, and so I try and lead them towards that vision that I have. And I think a lot of acting training comes out of that. Stanislavski was a director too, and it seemed like every time he went into a new form, poetry or whatever, he had to make adaptations in the system in order to fit in with that. But something like this is very nice, that it gets us out of our rooms and our way of seeing things and saying, oh, there are other people and they see things differently. So that's nice. And it sort of tests yourself too. I mean, there's a danger in teaching. You can think that something is true just because you said it. That's very dangerous.
Thank you. I don't know. There was a friend of mine who told his father, father said, what are you going to be? A lawyer? A doctor? I'm going to be an actor. An actor? You're going to be a bum. That's what you're going to be. But the thought that came to me, is the level, the artists being up here. Anthony Burgess, who's the author of Clockwork Orange, said that I'm a novelist and I'm a clown, I'm a performer, I'm someone who's giving you something to pass the time while you go from one important thing to another important thing. So being here has kind of given me the impression that maybe we're a little more important than that. Maybe we're really contributing something that's really great for society, responsible for society. We're creating something that creates a change in society, or alters society, or makes society think about things. So being here, listening to all of these various approaches to art, to the art of performance, or non-performance, has been a very illuminating experience.
Okay, you want to say something? It's late, and we really have a short, it's only 1 hour lunch, and I think this, Janne.
It's just a lot of saying, it's not a question.
Okay. One thing I want to say to you, you feel watched today, so maybe you can start making What Are You Looking At Part 2. It would be cool from this experience. And the other thing I want to say is there's a French filmmaker, Robert Bresson, and he said, make visible what without you may perhaps never have been seen. And I think it fits for everyone here.
And I think with this peel of being wise, see, I mean, you said something very interesting. I think we can close it. We can close it here. Yeah.
I just want to say thank you to Oystein and Gianluca leading us all the days through this festival.
Enjoy this last day. It's not over yet. Okay? So take everything from the festival until the very last moment. I'll see you tonight. Guys, 6 o'clock, Dramatikkens 6 o'clock.